Yeah.
All right.
We're
So
live.
let's see. Let's give a couple seconds. All right. Live from Burley Corners in northern Pennfield Township. This is Mac McCullough with Willard Library for another installment episode, if you will, of Stories at Sundown. And my guest today is one of my favorite baristas in town, Hannah Faith Stevens, who is also an artist. Hannah,
Hi.
um, what's that?
I said hi.
Oh, hi. Yeah, Hannah. Hannah is on track. It was on track to pursue her dreams as a performer, as a musician, as on the stage. And then the pandemic hit. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we're also going to talk a little bit about her work. And Hannah promised to play us a song today, too.
I
So,
did. It's an original.
yeah. Wow. So, welcome, Hannah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's really
Oh,
exciting. I've never done anything like this before.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of fun. We just have a conversation. And to those of you out there in the audience, you are welcome to post questions and say hi, and we'll put those up on the screen as well. So, Hannah, let's
Yeah.
talk. Let's just start with you. Tell me about your art. Tell me about
Okay.
what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So ever since I was a little girl, when I was around 3 years old, my mom took me to see my very first musical ever, and it was at the Barn Theater. It was Annie, and as soon as we left the theater, I fell in love. And I was singing the songs on the way home and everything, and I just
Hmm.
knew in some way, music, I needed it to be a part of my life no matter what. And I thought musical theater was it. So I even pursued my career in musical theater. I went to college for it, and I just got my BFA in 2020, right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I got a job and everything from it, which was so exciting. I was in New York, and I got a job in New York as a vocalist. And then, like, 2 weeks after I found out about it, I got sent back home. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, but now I've always been a singer-songwriter, but I haven't taken it as seriously as I did within the past year. Being trapped inside, alone with your thoughts and everything, it strikes inspiration. So
Yeah, yeah, and we're going to talk a
yeah,
little about that writing too. But when you say little, you were little. You're like 3 years old.
yeah, I was a little girl, and I just remember looking at my mom like, this is what I want to do. And I'm so lucky that I have such supportive parents because as soon as I was like in the right age group to do youth theater, they put me in. I was in shows every single semester from like fourth grade up until senior year. And I auditioned for probably close to 20 colleges. And my
Wow,
parents took me to every single one, and I really couldn't do it without them. So, yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome to have that kind of support.
Yeah.
And what were some of the shows that you worked in as and you were? I should mention that you were a Pennfield
Yeah.
graduate, right? That's
Mhm.
correct. So
Yeah.
we're yay Pennfield. We're in the Pennfield
Woo!
district here. Yeah. So what some of the productions were you in?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I would do productions like I did Beauty and the Beast. I did like the little Disney shows and everything. But then when I was in college, I auditioned for a whole bunch of professional theaters. And it's kind of funny how it goes full circle because my first professional gig was at the Barn Theater, and I was an actress and a performer, singer, and I also was a waitress at the Barn, and that was my first summer gig, and it was like I did 7 shows that year, along with different bar shows at the end of each night.
Uh-huh. What
So
were some of those shows?
yeah, it was. We did Rent, which is one of my favorite musicals. We did The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which, if you haven't seen it, which I hope you have, it has some of the most beautiful music you will ever hear. It's gorgeous. And we did a good You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, in our cabaret show, and I played Sally Brown, which was very fitting. And then 2 years ago, I played Elle Woods in Legally Blonde, the musical, and that was my favorite thing I've ever done by far.
Wow.
Hmm. We
And
had so many costume changes. It was insane.
so, what was that? I mean, tell me a little bit about that experience. I mean, that must have been really heady. I mean, what's it like to be part of a production like that? And you just mentioned the costume changes.
Yeah. So, okay, for that character, she's the lead in the show. And have you seen the movie?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's a classic. So, at least to me. So, Elle Woods, that character is in every single scene. She's in every single song and has around 12 costume changes throughout the whole show. And one of those costume changes takes place on stage behind people. And then the other one is, while I still have lines off stage, and it's only an 8-second costume change. So it was just go, go, go. I remember I was at the gym every single morning just to build up my stamina to sing all of these very vocally demanding songs. And I would even like hum quietly on the treadmill, hoping people didn't hear me, just so I could like make sure I had enough stamina to run around and dance and sing these crazy songs. So it was definitely a very big learning experience. And theater is a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself. Good sleep. That's all I have to say. Sleep, sleep, sleep is your best friend.
Who are some of the well, performers or anybody else that you met that you learned from, or that you had an influence on you when you were working there?
Yeah. So, while working on the show Legally Blonde, I met a whole bunch of very different people. And the cool thing about that show is there are people who are way older than you, and there are also going to be people your age because there are professors in the show and students in the show. And I just remember I had never had like a stage kiss before in my entire life, and I was so scared. And it had to be with somebody who was older than me, but he was so professional and so chill about the whole thing. And I was just like, wow, this is what professional theater is like. This is great. I love it. And we're still really good friends to this day. And I also met my best friend through that production too. One of them, her name is Lindsay, and it was funny because we played we played enemies in the show, the whole entire show. And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if when I meet this girl, we just click? And we did. And also my director, I actually had to audition via video for the show because I was off away at college.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no way they're going to give this to me, a girl who sends in an audition. But she took a chance on me. And I mean, here we are now. It was the best experience of my life.
That's awesome.
So,
And the director's name?
oh, her name is Charlene Rucker. So shout out to you if you're watching. You're the best.
So that was great experience. You got your degree, and then you're on your way to New York. What were you
Yeah.
going to be doing there?
Yeah. So my senior class, we went there for our senior showcase and we performed in front of a whole bunch of casting producers, casting directors, and management teams. And it was our senior showcase, so we all got to do a song that matched us best. And I have a very big personality, so I did a comedic song. And I got cast to be a vocalist on a cruise ship, and all of my rehearsals were going to take place in New York, and I was set to live there. So
Wow.
that's what I was going to be doing. And I didn't have my set list yet of the songs I was going to do, but I'm assuming like pop rock stuff just because I have a higher voice. So yeah, that's what I was going to do.
So you must have been pretty excited.
I was beyond excited. I was like, this was beyond my wildest dreams. I was like, I'm going to prove the people in my high school wrong. I'm going to prove myself right. I've been telling myself this every day, and I don't care if people thought I was annoying. I had a dream.
Yeah.
So finally, it's going to happen. I could see it. I was right there. And then it all just kind of fell apart.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not to make you dwell on what was probably a really painful situation, but I mean, what was that impact like? How did you respond? How did you get through that?
Yeah. So when I got the call, I just thought, okay, I'm going to be home for a couple weeks and then I'm going to move in August. I'm going to just like
Well, sure.
get right back out there. It'll be fine. And then it just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And I mean, I was super sad. I would cry every day about
Mm,
it
yeah.
because I had never really gone that long without performing. It was part of my daily routine was to rehearse and perform, write music, sing music, do live shows with my guitar. And I was just like, okay, now I'm stuck inside and there's no entertainment whatsoever. New York was shutting down more and more day by day. And right now it's still pretty shut down. So it's getting back to it, but it was devastating to say the least.
Yeah, yeah. And well, and do you have a lot of friends in the same situation or people you knew that were going through that as well?
Yeah, actually. So I was in a class with our musical theater class was quite small. They're pretty small at every school. It was around 13 people, and I believe 4 or 5 of us booked jobs that were in the city or in LA or in Atlanta. And we were all excited to go out there and move on with our lives. And some of them still moved there, but it's so expensive. And
Mm,
I was like, I don't have the funds right now. So
yeah, yeah.
luckily, my parents are awesome and they let me crash here.
I'm sure they don't think of it as crashing. So okay, so talk about you came back
Yeah,
and then you were back at work and then you had COVID, right?
yeah, I did. So I got COVID in October and I was being very safe at work and everything. And, it's just sometimes you're going to get it.
I
And
got it too.
yeah,
A couple months later than that, but yeah.
we're very lucky that we had mild cases. We were talking about that earlier. But I was, I had a fever of around 103 and I was quarantined for a week. So I had a lot of time to just sit and think and write and get to know myself more because as a barista, I'm always with other people and I'm never like, oh, let's think about me for a second, you know?
Hmm.
And then I also gave it to my family, which I'm so sorry, mom and dad.
Mm,
Um, that was, I felt horrible. I got off really easy, but they were sick for around a month
mm.
and it was rough, but being in quarantine, I was really forced to like get to know myself more and get to just pick up my guitar more and realize what life is actually about and I lost my voice when I was sick.
Mm.
Like I lost it for at least 5 days. So I was forced to like think about, oh, what are the lyrics like instead of what is my voice going to sound like? Is it going to sound okay? Because singers are always we're our own worst critics when it comes to our voice. So I got to focus on the lyrics a lot more. And during quarantine, I came up with some of the most poetic songs I've ever come up with. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's one good thing about it.
Well, I think about it, and I mean, you're obviously an extrovert. I
Yeah,
mean, you are just vivacious, and you talk like I knew when I asked you that to come on the show. You and I didn't know each other, and
yeah,
you said yes, um, and then you're a singer, and so those two things that were so much define you are kind of temporarily taken away.
hmm yeah.
And yeah, and I was really fascinated by what you said, how that impacted your writing. Um,
Mm,
and you think just the fact of not being able to sing helped you
yeah.
dig a little bit deeper.
Well, it definitely did because I didn't talk to you about this. I have had a battle with my voice throughout the past several years. I kind of burnt out for a second there. I needed vocal cord surgery
Ooh,
because I just pushed myself so hard when I was working at all my gigs. I never gave myself a break. Your body is not a machine. It needs to be taken care of.
right.
And so like now that like now that I have it back, I'm always like, oh, is it good enough? Oh, is it good enough? And what I was talking to you about the other day, you don't have to have the most amazing voice in the world. You don't have to be the most talented singer. It's about the story you tell and what you represent.
Hmm.
So,
It's about the story you tell. And so, what kind of how many songs did you write during that time?
during quarantine, I probably wrote around 5 or 6 songs in
Yeah.
total, but I wrote a whole bunch of little ones that aren't finished too. There's probably like 20 of those.
So I'm not a an entertain. I was never an entertainment journalist, but I've heard a lot of people interview songwriters, and they always ask, What's your approach to writing?" So I'll borrow that
Oh, yeah.
cliche and ask, how do you start? I mean, how do you get inspiration, and where does it take you? How do you build a song?
Yeah. So honestly, I know so many people say this, but it is different every single time.
Hmm.
I would say for the majority of the time, it's definitely lyrics that come first to me. And it can happen at the most random times. Like, and you need to know, you have to remember to write them down or like do a voice memo because you will forget. You will forget. So, like, I came up with a song when I woke up one night and I was like, oh, I'll just remember it in the morning. I didn't. So you always have to write it. Um, I would say it's definitely the lyrics first though, and it's always when I'm at a changing point in my life when I come up with the songs that I connect with the most. Like when I went through my most horrible heartbreak ever, I was very upset. I was in college and I was very sad about what I had to do because nobody ever wants to break up with somebody, but I knew what
Sure.
was right for me. I know what was best for me, and I deserve somebody who's going to treat me well.
Yeah.
And I was just heartbroken about the situation. And I was just walking throughout my dorm hall one day, and I just sat down, like in the middle of the hall, in a seat, of course, and I just wrote these lyrics, all of them, in one sitting. And it's still like one of my favorite songs I've written today. It's on piano, so I'm not going to sing it right now, but
Hmm.
maybe you'll hear it
Yeah. Yeah.
later. Yeah.
So one comment just made, sending Bad Wolf Love. Does that have resonance with you? I don't know
Oh,
what that
yeah.
means.
Yeah, that was a youth theater that I used to. I don't know if it's still in Battle Creek anymore because of COVID and everything, but the director, she lives in California, and there was no youth theater here for a while.
Yeah.
So she started a youth theater program here called Bad Wolf Theater Company, and I used to help teach the kids there.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it was fun. I did a lot of the singing work and acting work with them because I was a lot more theater based back then too. So that was all I did.
Wow. Well, thank you, Kimberly, for asking that.
Yeah,
Um, so, talk about this song that
yeah.
that you came on to play.
Hmm.
Um,
That's my mom. Thanks, mom. Yeah. So with this song, this is a song I wrote during quarantine, of course, and since I said I had a lot of time to just sit and think about the important things in life and how wow these little things that you get upset with day to day are they really important because at the end of the day, you have one life, you have one family, and you should be lucky for that. And during part of the song, I'm talking about what I wish I could tell my younger self. Like, I wish I could tell my younger self, I have the lyrics right here. I wish I could tell my younger self to hold on to the lullabies that my mom would sing me every night because that was gone before I knew it. I don't even remember the last time that was a thing. And that I wish I could tell my little brother that everything was going to be okay. Just give it time because time can heal a lot of things, not everything, but a lot. And then at the end of this song, I changed the perspective to instead of me talking to myself, I'm talking to my future child, and I'm saying, hey, even though you're going to be going through a lot of changes, and it's not always going to be sunshine and flowers, all going to be okay, and I'm always going to be there for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Well, I know you brought your guitar.
I did.
Well, so let's go ahead and take
Sweet.
it away.
Gotta get my water in before I sing. You know it, Mac.
Yeah. So this is only the second time that somebody has sung on Stories at Sundown. The last time was me and a little snow squall. And don't go back and look for it because you don't want to hear it.
I'm gonna. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Cool. When we were young, everything seemed so easy. We play hide and seek until we fell asleep. Back then, everything was a daydream. Back then, life was peaceful and free. We marked up the family wall with how much we've grown. Hoping that one day soon we'd be on our own. Our friends becoming strangers, left and right. Those summer days turned into winter nights. My mama's no longer kissing me goodnight. All that I have is this phone screen by my bedside. How the time flies. Now I'm all alone. Who knew 24 would feel so old? With the touch of my hand, I find my first question. To chase my dreams or stay put in this old routine. My innocence was stolen and sometimes I wanna just scream. I took all the photos down on those Friday nights. Sometimes the shiniest people are so broken inside. My friends become strangers, left and right. Those summer days turn into winter nights. My mama's no longer kissing me goodnight. All that I have is this phone screen by my bedside. How the time flies. If I had one wish, I'd tell my younger self to hold on to those lullabies your parents would sing each night. Tell your little brother that everything's gonna be alright. Just give it time. My life is flashing by in the blink of an eye. Gotta make the best of my life. It's my time. In the future, when my little girl, when she says to me, Mama, will you always be there for me? When my friends become strangers, left and right, and those summer days turn into winter nights. Mama, will you I whisper everything changes, so gonna be alright. How the time flies.
Hmm.
That's it.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Uh huh. So, who have been some of your influences?
My influences, like vocally, are just in my life.
Both.
Okay, so vocally, I know it's basic, but definitely Taylor Swift. I've been listening to her since I was probably like 10. So, huge influence. She's the reason I bought my guitar and everything. And her last two albums have been like very grown up. And I felt like kind of grown up with her through her music.
Yeah.
And it's like not just all about boys and who she likes anymore. It's about just like self, like looking at yourself and reflecting and
Right.
just realizing, hey, this is who I am and accepting it. And then my influences that are just like throughout my life, of course, my parents, always. But some other people were my two bosses at work. Like, seriously, I'm not trying to kiss up, but like, they're the reason that they pushed me so hard to start putting my songs out there every morning. And every time we close together, Tristan would be like, so, Hannah, what's the plan? What's the plan, Hannah? Let's talk about it. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, it forced me to think, what is my plan? And I've just been working at my music and working every single day. And I'm booking gigs soon. So that's exciting. And I'm working on my EP. So that's fun. I have 3 songs.
That's great.
Yeah.
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 And so, what kind of music? How would you describe your music?
So I'd say it's definitely like a folky, calm pop, a soft, folky pop.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I would say.
Cool.
I don't want to be just one genre, you know? It's because some of my songs are more poppy and fun, but I'd say a folk pop artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found your music on YouTube. I just did a search for your name. Is that where you would direct people to listen to more?
Yeah, I would say my YouTube right now, and I have a TikTok too that I post a whole bunch of singing to.
Well, I'm
So
too old for TikTok.
that.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I'm too old for TikTok. But yeah, and my Instagram, it's just Hannah Faith Stevens. So I post a lot of music on there too.
All right. All
Yeah,
right. And just one more question, and we talked a little bit about this when we got acquainted last week,
yeah,
about what it's like to be an aspiring artist. And I don't even know if I need the qualifier aspiring. You are an artist,
yeah.
um, but you aspire to make a living at being an artist. And what is it like in our community for folks who want to pursue that path? And what advice might you have?
Yeah. So I mean, Battle Creek isn't a small town by any means, but I would say it's not the most like we don't have the most opportunities when it comes to being an artist. So I would say just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid because when I first got started with gigs, I was like, are they going to like me? Like, I don't know. There are so many places that are wanting so many musicians to reach out because there's just there's not a lot of artists out there who are willing to put themselves forward. So if you're willing to do that, you're one step ahead of the game already. So, yeah, that's what I'd say. And
Yeah.
just keep going. Make as many connections as you can. Because there are a lot of artists that come down to the shop, and they're the sweetest people ever. And just to have those connections too, it's like, wow, we have something in common. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can have friendships form out of it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And I noticed when you were sharing the post for this program, you
Yeah.
said something along the lines of, "I was always too shy to sing like this before," but you've kind of come out of that, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, you're always going to have apprehension, anxiety, butterflies. I mean,
I
40 years from now, you will.
yeah. So being a musician and but being in musical theater my whole life opposed to just music my whole life, I'm so used to be okay, your cast is this part, here's your script, here are the songs. You're not yourself right now. You're playing somebody else. And so doing your own music and performing as your own artist, I was like at first struggling to find who am I as an artist at first, you know? What do I have to offer? But this whole year has really showed me I'm a pretty cool person, I think. And I think I have a lot to offer and I'm not going to hide from it anymore. So, yeah, like 2 months ago, I had a gig and I performed a couple originals at that and I don't want to stop. So, yeah.
That's terrific. You are a cool person. Thank you,
Thanks.
Hannah.
So are you.
Thank you.
Mm,
And thanks for joining us this week. It was a lot of fun getting to know you. And boy, we started talking about, I first asked you a couple months ago. So I'm glad we finally
yeah,
got it happen. And
I'm glad we did too.
make sure that you keep us updated on where you're going next and
Yeah.
where you're playing next. And
Okay.
we look forward to hearing more.
Yeah, I'm excited. I should have music out this year. So, check it out.
All right. And thank you, viewers, for coming on again. We really appreciate it. We're going to take a week off next week, but we'll be back the following week and for another episode of Stories at Sundown. So take care and have a great night.
Bye.